Welcome to Vandershark, brought to you by Barley Forge. This is the pre-game NFL playoff live here. I'm here with Steve Vanover. I'm Neil Sharkey. We're ready to go, breaking down this Philadelphia Eagles New Orleans Saints matchup today. You guys are going to love it. Slanchava.
Slanchava. Before we get started, on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, that little notify bell. On Twitter, follow us, retweet us. We appreciate that. On Facebook, give us that like and subscribe. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for being with us, and we're so glad to have just so much wonderful football action going on throughout the playoffs so far. This has been great, and we've got another really great matchup coming up here. The Philadelphia Eagles on a high after that Chicago win. I called it, and
wait a minute. Eagles? I thought we were doing the San Diego post-game now. It's the game just ended, right?
Oh, wait, let's do a quick post-game. Okay, the Chargers and the Patriots game is over, and it was actually over 11 minutes into the fourth quarter. Matter of fact, it was over after the first half.
It was over
and we already did that wrap-up, so you guys can go click on that over there in Vandershark, especially if you get our notifications. Just pull that up. We already did a post-game, even though that game is yet to be concluded, but it was over a long time ago, wasn't it, Van?
Oh, stick a fork in it. It's done.
Hey, listen, the player of the game for us right now on the Eagles side of the ball, a guy that we think is going to be the impact and a guy that has got such wonderful chemistry with Nick Foles is Mr. Zach Ertz.
Yes.
Probably playing as well of a season now as he possibly could.
Oh, heck yeah.
1,163 yards as a tight end, 8 touchdowns. We're talking about 116 catches. I bet you his targets are somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 on the season. And Nick Foles really loves to use him. The chemistry between these two guys is high, and I think Zach Ertz is going to be a major key to this game for the Eagles to develop any kind of momentum on offense. What do you think, Van?
Well, let's put in perspective. The Cowboys' Jason Witten is retired. This is the best tight end in the NFC East. And perhaps on his way to being the best tight end in the NFC. I don't know. There's a lot of competition.
There is.
San Francisco, Kittle, etc. But hey, one of the things you have to have in order to be great is you have to have chemistry with whoever is going to distribute the ball.
Right.
And you called it. Him and Foles, man, they understand each other. Foles likes him as his blanket. And on the other side of the ball, you got Breeze, who's got his blanket, who's the tight end Watson, who's been around forever.
Right.
I mean, every time you think this guy's going to retire, he comes back, signs again with...
It's just like Tony, just like Gates, just like a lot of other guys that really play deep into their 30s. And just, you're going to see Breeze utilizing him when he needs him. Breeze has a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to be tough. But let's break down for just a second. We've got a stat up here on screen with the two quarterbacks, and let's look at the winning seasons as NFL quarterbacks that went to the Super Bowl. Drew Brees did it in 2009. Nick Foles obviously did it in 2017. Look at the comparison between these two guys and how well they played the games, leading their team into the Super Bowl. I think a key stat here isn't just as much the touchdowns as it is they've only were sacked twice in that run. So their offensive line was obviously protecting them. They gave them the time they needed to be able to sit there and make the proper read. When you're able to go from your first to your second to your third read and use your security blanket, Van, then that's so important. And these offensive lines are going to do that for them today. They're big on both sides of the ball.
70% completion percentage. When you have 70% completion percentage, your team's normally going to win the game. Not always, not guaranteed, but hey, it's a pretty good indicator. And both of these guys, when they are on, they are accurate, and that's important because they have targets.
Yes, they do.
On the wide receiver side of the ball, the Saints have a guy that you know a little something about.
Well, Michael Thomas is, obviously quietly been one of the most featured wide receivers in the NFL. There's a lot of guys this season that we spent a lot more time talking about than him, and this guy quietly went about doing his job. Almost 1,500 yards in the regular season, 125 catches, 9 touchdowns. 85% of the time they throw the ball in this guy's vicinity, he catches it. And you know why? It was something I talked about last week as well, Van. You know why? As a matter of fact, I talked about it yesterday also. Michael Thomas goes to where the ball is, where he needs to go get the ball. He does not wait for the ball to come to him. And that is such a huge talent. It's a Megatron-esque talent that he has to go get the ball. And, the guys that you see waiting for the ball to get to them, they don't catch the ball 85% of the time. Guys that go get it, like Michael Thomas. They're going to have some huge success. This guy's going to have a big day today. It'll be really hard for the Eagles defense to try to contain Michael Thomas.
Yeah, he's incredible at high pointing the ball. I have to agree with you. But now I'm going to flip it on the other side. And now it's a wide receiver that doesn't have a bunch of stats this year because he got traded in the middle of the season.
Who did he get traded from?
Well, some team. I don't know. The Cougars?
My Detroit Lions.
Oh, the Lions. That's
My
right.
Detroit Lions.
And we're talking about wide receiver Golden State.
Yeah, Golden State,
Golden
man.
State.
That's where we live, and that's where he operates, is in the Golden State.
All right, but Golden Tate is having an incredible rejuvenation, and I tell you what, he's having it with Nick Foles.
He is. GT3 is very successful with Nick Foles, underutilized under Carson Wentz, and really, I just think Nick Foles is the better quarterback out of the two guys. As much as they want to,
So there's no controversy as far as you're concerned.
None whatsoever. Yeah, Philadelphia Eagles are split right down the middle. As a matter of fact, a good friend of mine that works over on the Howard Stern show, Richard, is a Philadelphia Eagles fan vicariously through his wife, and he is sitting there. They named their son Carson, and now Nick Foles is your Super Bowl champion.
Looks like they need to have another kid.
That's
quick.
a tough one. It's a good thing his nickname's Bubby, huh, Richard?
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say nickname's coming.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But now I want to talk briefly, and again, this is not something that there's a bunch of stats on for both teams. And both teams have a commonality, and that is outstanding offensive lines. Okay, on the one side, you have left tackle Jason Peters, the elder statesman for the Eagles. But on the other side, you have a guy that, when Peyton decided he wanted to rebuild his offensive line, he went to the Seattle Seahawks and got Max Unger. And remember, he gave up Jimmy Graham for him. Which,
he sure did.
Hey, I don't think that was that big of a loss, but as it turned out, it worked out really well for the Saints, not so well for Seattle, because Max Unger has been a staple. But that offensive line, left tackle Armstead, right guard Warford, remember him, the Bama boy? He's
the Bama
huge,
boy.
okay?
Won a national championship with Alabama.
Yeah, and then right tackle Remsiski, I think I got that right. These guys are for real. They are nasty. But on the other side, man, it's the same thing for the Eagles.
Yes, it is.
They both use running games. They're known for their QB play, but they key off of their running games. Without the running games, it doesn't work.
I agree. These are two veteran teams. You're not looking at either side of the ball, both defensively and offensively, Van, and seeing a lot of inexperience or problems. You've got the Eagles coming off of a Super Bowl championship. You've got Drew Brees and crew that have that perennial playoff experience, and they're just ready to go do this again. And I'll tell you, Brees was, in my opinion, top 2, top 3 quarterback in the NFL this season. Yet once again, if it wasn't for the highfalutin antics of Patrick Mahomes and Andrew Luck's great season, especially in regard to touchdowns, Drew Brees was in the conversation for the best guy in the league at the quarterback position so far this season. So it's obvious that his team is here for a reason. That first round bye gave them plenty of time to heal up. There's not a lot we can talk about on the injury side of the ball. And Van, you and I love to break down injuries. There's not a lot of injuries in this game.
And that's great news,
I
think, because you want to see them on the field.
You do.
And, until the Saints lost to the Cowboys, got it handed to them by the Cowboys.
Yes, they did.
They were the best team in football, hands down. And then they got beat by the Cowboys. Hey, that was an off game. All right, it was an off game. The Cowboys came up with a brilliant game plan. They out-physicaled them. And that's what I'm looking for as a danger. Can the Eagles out-physical the Saints in the pit?
Or vice versa.
Correct.
Whichever team wins that battle at the line of scrimmage, both on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball, we think is going to be the key to winning this game. There's going to be lots of players that are going to get incredible plays. Brees is going to have a great game. We're going to see Foles have a great game. But let's talk about this guy right here.
Yeah.
This guy is probably... you put him in the level with J.J. Watt, you put him up there with Jadeveon Clowney, you put him up there with some of the best defensive ends in the league, and this guy's going to set that perimeter and not allow that fast-paced line of scrimmage offense for the Eagles get out and stretch those corners. So this guy's contain is going to be very important, but Lee just pointed out something that's really important here, and let's look at that stat right there at the bottom.
Yeah, it's 322 QB hits, okay?
Holy hand grenades.
All right, yeah, that's insane.
That and about $47,000 worth of dental work makes this guy one of the best defensive ends in football.
And he is a spark candidate. What I mean by that is he is an athletic freak, okay? He can jump higher, quicker, farther, run faster than anybody else of his same size weight ratio.
For sure, but this is a big kid weighing in at almost 300 pounds. At game time, he probably actually is over 300. They like to underestimate what these guys weigh when they list it. But I'll tell you, I really want to give him some advice right now, and this is coming to you straight from Booger McFarland. Do your job. It is not your job to knock down passes. Don't hurry the.
You don't get paid for that.
You don't get paid to knock down passes. So you better remember that out there.
Thank you, Booger.
On the field today. Thanks, Boog.
Because of how brilliant Booger McFarland is, we can share this knowledge with players and allow them to get paid.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, it's really important for these guys to understand their role, and their role is not to be blocking passes.
All right. We're talking about both sides of the ball. We've talked about offense, defense. We'll skip special teams for now, but though that always has an impact on the game, because regardless of everything that you talk about, this game boils down to one thing: Brees versus Foles.
Yeah.
I know they're not going to be on the field at the same time, but yes, this is a competition.
Who can lead the team better than the other? And which one of them is going to have that incredible playoff experience that you need from your starting quarterback in order to move on to the next level in this playoff? I'm telling you, they're so evenly matched, Van. It's hard for me to pick. I think we're going to see.
It's an easy pick.
I think we're going to see a 300-plus yard game out of Foles with at least 3 touchdowns, and I think we're going to see a 300-plus yard game with at least 3 touchdowns out of Drew Brees. Which one of them is going to make less mistakes is what I think it comes down to. Is Foles going to fumble? Is Brees going to fumble? How many interceptions will it be? Foles is a little bit more likely to throw interceptions than Drew Brees, and it's just that high level of experience that Brees has, especially in the playoffs, that allows him to not make stupid decisions. Nick Foles can still do that, and I think if Foles throws 2 or more interceptions, then this is definitely going to tilt towards the Saints winning the game today. I'm with the Eagles here. I picked the Eagles to beat Chicago, and nobody thought they could.
True.
I'm picking the Eagles to beat the Saints, and I tell you what, this is more lopsided of a matchup than the Chicago one was. Because the Saints just have the one of the best offenses in football. So
they are incredible. They're on a roll, and that's what's important. You got to be playing hot. But let's just be honest here. You bought into some Foles gold.
Oh, I like it.
Because it
Hashtag Foles gold.
Yeah, it's down there. Make it happen right now. Trim that bad boy. Because that is what is happening. Because on one hand, you're talking a QB that every team that's had a chance to sign him to a long-term contract has passed. Yes, he gets hot, and man, he's a Super Bowl winning QB. I don't have that. Okay, he's for real. I get that. On the other side, you have a future Hall of Fame inductee.
First ballot Hall of Fame inducted quarterback in Drew Brees.
But that's not the game. Just like it was when we talked about earlier when it was the Patriots and the Chargers, it's the same thing here. Watch the running game. If the Saints, Kamara, gets 100-plus yards, really is feeling it, muscular, they're going back and forth doing the 1-2 punch. If the Saints running game gets off, the Saints win. Conversely, Eagles side of the ball.
Well, no, you got Carson on the Eagles side of the ball. Smallwood has been playing a great role, although they haven't utilized him as much, and I don't think he's had as good of a statistical
what's not
game.
Small? What are you talking about?
Well, his is.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, we're talking about running games that are. Well, it definitely favors the Saints side of the ball. Alvin Kamara is one of the best in the league. And not only that, your change of pace back is Michael Ingram. Come on. I mean, this guy's a bowling ball.
And
he
that's
will
the
run
difference
over
in
and
the
through
game.
anybody. And that tandem that we've talked about in these running games, like we saw with C.J. Anderson and Todd Gurley, like we saw just earlier with the New England game that we talked about with Sony Michel and James White.
Correct.
You're talking about this tandem of power. And Philadelphia doesn't have a tandem of power. They have more
Saints
of a finesse game at the running back position with littler backs. And
so don't buy into the Foles gold. Instead, buy into the power running game of the Saints, because that's going to be the difference. However, the fly in the ointment, the spoiler in the soup, Halati Nagata on the inside of the Colts. The guy is like a biscuit shy of 400, maybe. Excuse me, of the Eagles, Colts. A biscuit shy of 400? Yeah, exactly. This guy can jack up a running game on the inside by himself. It's why they have him. He has to be taken care of. That is going to be the key on the Eagles on defense.
Yes, I agree. If Nagata can get in there and he can mix things up, if he can make Breeze hurry, if he can disrupt those handoffs and those screenplays, if he can play it properly, you really could see some shutdown defense there at the front line for the Philadelphia Eagles. It'll be a really great matchup. And we're going to be here with you the whole time, breaking everything down. Join us for our post game. I got the Eagles. It sounds like Mr. Steve Vanover is on the Saints side of the ball.
$1.
Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Steven Vanover, Sports Talk Line, Bearded Shark 77. We're going to be there for you the entire time. Glad to be with you guys. Cheers to Barley Forge. Thank you for joining us on Vandershark.